inviting India once again to the Arctic Forum. This is my third time as ambassador that I visited St. Petersburg. Of course, this year, for understandable reasons, the attendance is a little less than in the previous years, but I'm sure next year the forum will bounce back into its very active forum for dialogue and cooperation. India is not an Arctic state. India is not the so-called near Arctic state. But I think we have a lot of interest in the success of international cooperation in the Arctic region for several reasons. India is a member of the so-called treaty since the 1920s. We've been an observer, and recently in 2019 our observer status was renewed, and increasingly we see reasons for India to deepen its cooperation with the Arctic Council, the main international forum in the region, along the 6 parameters in which observers can participate. There are several reasons for this. India is not alien to the Arctic region. In the 75th anniversary of Victory Day, let me recall that in Murmansk and up north, there are graves of several Indian sailors who fought valiantly during the war and who have been buried there. You have several Siberian cranes who come to India every winter, including this winter. So our connections are long and deep. Science is a major driver for India to be engaged with the Arctic, and we are very fortunate to have excellent bilateral relations with all the Arctic Council member states. Bilaterally, we have excellent cooperation with them, and being engaged with the Arctic Council is a force multiplier effect for India. The changing climate patterns in the Arctic region are considered to have direct correlation to the monsoon patterns in our region. The changing of the emerging problem of the permafrost, which will have global consequences, is closely related to the problem that we face in our region of the melting of the glaciers. So there are several interconnected science and scientific issues in which we must say we're very happy that the scientific communities have already established extremely good bonds of friendship, and it is something that we wish to take forward. As we move forward, climate change and sustainable development, as been mentioned by several speakers here, is something that India is committed to as well. India supports the full implementation of the Paris Agreement, and as we move forward, we see the international prospects of the Paris Agreement going forward actually improving, and we see that as a positive sign. India, it may come as a surprise to some of you, is actually ahead in terms of commitments that we have undertaken in terms of reducing increasing carbon capture, increasing the amount of forest land, and India is, of course, as many of you will know, a great success story in the solar and the wind energy, the non-conventional energy fields. So we see our contribution to climate change through the implementation of the Paris Agreement as the larger framework within which we would also deal with the Arctic region. There is a very strong bilateral element to our cooperation with the Arctic, and this is where Russia comes in. It is but natural that we have a very close special and strategic partnership with Russia. It's only natural that we cooperate in several international issues, including the Arctic, and I am happy to share with you that just last week we have established the first ever India-Russia bilateral dialogue on Arctic issues. And I'm absolutely delighted my dear friend Ambassador Vasiliev will be our contact point in the Arctic Forum to to take forward international cooperation, and we see this as an extremely good sign for us to take it forward. Prime Minister Modi visited Vladivostok in September 2019. He announced what is called India's Act Far East policy, which is our focus on cooperation with the Russian Far East, which of course includes the Arctic. In fact, the Russian Ministry of Far East also includes the Arctic. And we are very happy to take this forward in cooperation with the Russian government. And there are several aspects that come in. First is connectivity. The Northern Sea Route is opening up. It is a sea route that will increase cooperation, economic cooperation, energy cooperation. The Russian Arctic is also an area where huge energy resources are being opened up for international cooperation, and we see India as an active participant in that. As we speak, there are already some molecules, Russian molecules from the Yamal gas fields that come to India. So there is already cooperation underway. When we look at the Northern Sea Route, we see a natural connectivity with the sea route, the maritime connectivity sea routes that we see, India sees, between Vladivostok and Chennai, as part of the process of connecting the eastern maritime seaboards of Russia and India. This is for energy, this is for coking coal, this is for normal trade and transit. This is also a centerpiece of what India is supporting, a framework of cooperation with respect to the Indo-Pacific. We see our cooperation with Russia taking forward a natural connectivity between the Northern Sea Route and the Vladivostok-Chennai sea routes. In fact, our Prime Minister called Vladivostok as the junction, the Sangam, between the international connectivity routes. This is, of course, a place for future. We, of course, see a lot of international interest coming up. We have taken note of the new Arctic strategy that has been put out by the Russian government. We are presently studying that. We welcome the fact that there is considerable emphasis on international cooperation in the national strategy of Russia. I have also heard very carefully the comments made by my colleagues, including from Canada, from Singapore, from Iceland, and other Arctic Council members on the emphasis on international cooperation. And I'm sure that as part of this, there is greater eagerness on part of the Arctic Council members to interact more closely with observers. And I can assure you on behalf of India that we will reciprocate this in full measure. Having said that, finally, it is not just science, it's not just connectivity, it's not just energy, it is finally about people. And that is an emphasis that has been very well brought out. I'm happy to share with you that we have, quite apart from the excellent contacts we have with various Russian regions, we just spoke last week with the representatives of the Sakha-Yakutia Republic, and we are establishing programs of cooperation which will benefit the young people in Sakha-Yakutia. These are old bonds. We wish to renew them for future generations. A last point on the role of the Arctic Council. The Arctic Council is actually quite unique. So while of course there are disturbing trends that we see in the international situation, which may cause a certain sense of worry. In reality, I think the Arctic Council has accumulated an excellent record of cooperation. And this experience of positive cooperation can, I think, add to the ability of the Arctic Council to take forward, as it celebrates the 25th anniversary of its establishment, to look at the next 25 years with great positivity and optimism. And of course, India wishes the Arctic Council members all the best, and we assure you of our full cooperation. Thank you.